Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Moon Coven. So today on my channel we're going to talk about books. I know I haven't done a book list in a very long time and I've acquired, as you can see, a whole bunch of new books. So I want to talk about books. However, before I begin, a PSA. Everyone listen up. Salt lamps. If you have a cat or an adventurous dog in your home, please be careful. I've seen this post on Facebook where this lady's cat basically was licking the salt off of her salt lamp, and it eventually died from neurological damage because there was so much sodium in her system. So just please, everyone, be very, very careful with your witchy items, especially if you have animal friends. I have 2 cats at home, so as soon as I read this blog, I have one cat who is kind of adventurous and I don't trust her with certain things. So as soon as I read that, I took it out of my bedroom and I'm gonna just toss it away because I don't even want it in my house. So just be very, very careful. You don't have to throw yours out. Just be very careful if you have furry friends, and just watch them around your salt lamps because the salt does come off of these things. They could crack in half, and just be very, very careful. Just a little PSA before we begin with our books. So, books. Very important in the craft. If you're going to be a witch, you have to read some things. And I know that's kind of an old way of saying, but I love books, okay? Anything about witchcraft, give me a book on it. I rather read a bunch of books than articles online or a digital copy of books. However, I have adapted to the new age, okay? On my phone, I do have some books that aren't available in print form, so I did get them ebook form. So there you go. I'm a hypocrite. So here we go. Back into the book list. Let's start off with my newest edition, Backwoods Witchcraft, Conjure and Folk Magic from Appalachia. This book, guys, amazing book, okay? If you're into folk magic of any kind, check out this book. It's by Jake Richards. Now, I know this is folk magic from Appalachia, and people are like, well, I'm not from there, I can't use this, or folk magic uses the Bible and all that stuff. You don't have to grasp everything from the book and utilize it in your practice. For example, I'm a folk witch, but I pair it with Slavic paganism, so I don't really use the Bible in my practice per se. However, I use nature, ancestral work, and different types of practical sympathetic magic, which will classify as folk magic. However, this book is totally awesome. It details a lot about ancestral worship, earth worship, and different things like that. This guy's a great author, so go and check out this book. Even if you don't utilize all the information, there is a lot of great stuff in here. So I got my copy from Alchemy Arts, a little metaphysical store, because as soon as I saw this book finally came out, because I was waiting impatiently for it on the internet, I grabbed it so fast. So you can get cheaper copies online, and I've seen it on Google Play, the digital copies for about like $10, which is significantly less than what I paid for it. But anyways, so this book is really, really, really great, really awesome, slowly becoming one of my favorite books on witchcraft because it just comes from such a humble place. You'll notice that he's just really deeply invested into it, and this is his life and everything else. Anyways, so definitely pick up yourself a copy on Backwoods Witchcraft, Conjure and Folk Magic from Appalachia. Good book. Jake Richards is the author. Very, 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 very good book. Next, this is my other favorite. As you can tell, you'll notice that some books have little sticky tabs for different blogs and different things like that. This book right here. If you are into the black arts or dark arts, as people like to say, pick yourself up a copy of Raising Hell by Robert Masello. So, this book, Raising Hell, awesome, amazing. Halfway through it, and I will probably read it again. It details about history, different witches and magicians throughout time who practiced necromancy and black arts and different things like that. Amazing, amazing, amazing book. It goes into necromancy, it goes into bone worship, divination, a whole bunch of witch trials, conjurings, left-hand paths, alchemy, all these different things. So definitely an amazing, amazing, amazing book, amazing find. I did find it at the half-price bookstore, so I'm not sure how many copies are really available. It's kind of an older book. However, I'm sure you could find it on the internet. So Raising Hell by Robert Masello. Definitely check out Google Play too. Maybe someone put it into a digital version. I don't know. But definitely a good book. My second favorite right now. So, this book is very hard to find books on folk magic, like true folk magic. It's very hard to find. That's why when I found that Backwoods Witchcraft book, I grabbed it so fast. Same with this book about folk ways. So this is Folk Ways by Patricia Telesco, and it's basically an encyclopedia of different folk magic techniques, different folk magic beliefs, different superstitions and stuff like that. You can see that I really, really liked this book. It's different through 30 different categories about amulets, talismans, animals, birds, body divination, kitchen, household lore, knots, luck, sea sounds. It's a whole bunch of different stuff. Like, so much information in this book. And it goes into everything, the elements, the supernatural, different colors, different things. So if you are into folk magic and you can't find any information besides the internet and everything else, definitely check out Folk Ways by Patricia Telesco. Now again, this is from the Half Price bookstore. Most of these books are. I don't know for sure that you can get them on Amazon and things like that, but this is a slightly newer book. So I'm sure if you looked it up, I'm sure it's somewhere about. Folk Ways, Patricia Telesco, definitely worth a read if you are into folk magic. Next book is about astrology. So I've been meaning to get more into astrology, and I thought this was going to be a really great beginner book. This is also from the Half Price bookstore, but you can get this book, I'm pretty sure, anywhere. It's Astrology by Roy Gillett. I'm sorry, I did that so bad. Anyways, this is one of those like big glossy books. They have a bunch of different ones too on the tarot and I think on crystals and stuff. But this one goes into basically every zodiac sign and what the planets mean when they're in certain houses and things like that. So it's a really good book to kind of wet your toes into astrology, which is something that I've been meaning to study. And a lot of the books that I get were really, really thick, and I'm like, this is overwhelming. This book is really great because, you know, everything is just proportionally detailed, I guess, so you could kind of just go at your own pace. Now, I haven't really read this book. I haven't like really sat down and read it. I have used it as a reference for different, you know, astrology things. But yeah, I've been meaning to read this book. So definitely if you are wanting to get into astrology, I will be posting some videos and blogs about this book as well. Again, Half Price bookstore. And this book is called The Secret Language of Astrology by Roy Gillett, something like that. This next book is not really a book per se, more of like a moon journal. I'm sure you've seen those, but it's for my Slavic witches out there. Now, this book is really, really cute, and it's really helpful, and it's awesome, and I bought it off of Amazon. So, Slavic Magic Moon Meditations by Patricia Robin Woodruff. So, very, very cute. It basically details each moon, and then it gives you a little, like, thoughts page about what you think this new moon means. What do you think each moon means as we come into the next month? So this is not traditionally in Polish. As you could see, the word grudzień is not, you know, Polish. However, I did do a Polish version of this book called Polish Months and Moons on my Pagan and Witches Amino. So I did do a blog about that if you are interested in that and if you are Polish. However, I still use this because it's super cute. I keep it on my divination table back there, and I just every month, every new moon, I sit down and write a little thoughts, a little thesis about what this new moon kind of means for me and what it means for this month. So just a very cute book just to get yourself into more of a lunar cycle, lunar magic, that sort of thing. So again, you can find that book on Amazon. So this next book is more of just like a reference guide. This is a dream dictionary, found it at the Half Price bookstore, $3. If you've never been to the Half Price bookstore, you definitely should. They do have an online website as well. I think it's called HPB Marketplace. So definitely look that up just because they have a lot of great books there. And their occult section is pretty good. It's pretty good. Their witchcraft section is a little small for my taste, but, you know, I'm a big fan of books. But their occult section is pretty great. They have, you know, books on dreams, astrology, crystals, yoga, new age healing, all of that stuff. So it's just a little dream diary, basically an encyclopedia of different associations of different dreams and things like that, just for dream work. I usually don't use dream diaries, but I thought I would have one just in case I needed some extra help. Now, this next book, if you are into witchcraft history, I definitely recommend picking up yourself a copy of the Malleus Maleficarum. This book, amazing read. If you are a history buff like me, and if you are into witchcraft history, and especially the burning times, the witchcraft, the witch trials, you know, that happened, this book is amazing. It's basically a manual for that. It's a manual of how to identify witches, how to interrogate witches, how to torture witches, how to excommunicate them from the church. Basically a manual for the witch trials. Very, very interesting read. It's quite extensive. It's quite extensive read, so be warned. And this is a translated copy by James Spencer. However, if you don't want to read the book in its entirety, which I don't blame you because it's pretty extensive, go to my Witches and Pagans Amino. I think I posted it on everywhere. So just go on to your Amino group, your Amino community, and if you have me on there, follow me. Black Moon Coven is the screen name, and check out the Malleus Maleficarum blog post that I made, which details this book really, really extensively. So if you don't want to read this book, but you want to know what it's about, then check out my blog for sure. This book was an amazing, amazing read. I love history, and I love witchcraft history, and especially about the witch trials and the burning times and everything like that, when it was just fear to be a witch. So, Malleus Maleficarum, definitely an interesting, if not eye-opening read. Definitely interesting. Another book on history. So this is A History of Black Magic in Christian Times, Witchcraft by Charles Williams. So basically, it dictates a history of black magic, witchcraft, during the Christianization, did I say that right? Of the whole world. So basically, people that were fighting to keep their old ways from the Christian, trend that's been going on. So definitely a really, really, really good book. Especially everyone who's into history and witchcraft. Now, again, this one is from the Half Price bookstore, and as you can tell, it's quite older, of a copy. I'm not even sure when this was from. It's a quite old copy. So this book was published 1979. So it's a really old copy. However, I'm sure you could get them online. So again, it's A History of Black Magic in Christian Times, Witchcraft by Charles Williams. So again, if you're into history and witchcraft, definitely a good book just to read, Okay, this book, I haven't read it quite yet, but I want to talk about it. The Magus. This is, I probably said that wrong. I know it. So this book right here details, I wrote a blog about magical grimoires too, like the history of grimoires and different things. But this book dictates a bunch of information from those old magical grimoires. So if you are into like ancient spiritual magic, definitely give this book a try. I haven't read it yet, so I can't completely say, what's included and what's not included. However, it does take from different magical grimoires throughout history and compiles them into one, so it's easier for the consumer to have. But this one is by F. Barrett. So definitely pick it up. They have it at the Half Price bookstore for $5.99, and they have these little books, just like the Astrology book, where it's like a glossy edition of a book. They have these little editions. They have the Magus, they have, alchemy and philosophy of magic and different stuff. So I'm going to pick up some more, but they have these little books for like $5.99, and I always want to pick up a couple just because if it deals with history and magic, I'm there. So definitely pick up yourself a copy if you are interested in grimoire history or just magical history throughout time. The next book, and I know I have quite a lot of books, so the next book is Dark Moon Mysteries, and I liked this book quite a lot. I love it. So it details about shadow work, and it details shadow work in a way for everyone to understand, and I really, really, really liked it. So Timothy Roderick is the author of this book, and not only does it dictate shadow work, it dictates using the dark moon's energy in a new and concise way. So very, very, very interesting read, very awesome. It's all about conquering that dark side, about taking over that shadow and making it a part of your practice. Very interested. If you are interested in shadow work or the dark moon magic of any type, definitely pick up yourself a copy. Again, picked it up at the Half Price bookstore. So I don't know if there are other copies out there. I'm sure there are, but they're Timothy Roderick Dark Moon Mysteries. So if you are on Amazon or on the internet, definitely pick up yourself a copy. I highly recommend this book. Such a great read. Such a great read. So this next one, again, history. This is Witches and Neighbors, and it's the social and cultural context of European witchcraft by Robin Briggs. Now, it dictates all about Europe and witchcraft history and the burning times, and it even mentions Poland in there, and that's why I kind of bought this book. But it just goes through different witchcraft ways and methods and what happened there basically in Europe. Everyone knows about the Salem witch trials, but the European burning times are not really as heavily mentioned, and this book is a great detailer of that. It's a witchcraft history book. So again, Witches and Neighbors by Robin Briggs, if you are interested in European witchcraft history, which I am. So definitely a nice little book. Again, Half Price bookstore, but this book is relatively new, so I'm pretty sure you can get it almost everywhere. The last couple of books. So this one, I really like my old books. I'm always on the hunt for very old, antique, vintage, occult books, just because they're just more fascinating to me than the newer ones. I don't know. So this is an encyclopedia of superstitions. Now, folk magic and being a folk witch, I use superstitions a lot in my craft. Superstitions are what makes folk magic kind of tick and what makes it folk magic. So this is the encyclopedia of superstitions, and I love the cover of this book. It's so nice. So nice. So pretty. So basically, like I said, it's a very old book, all about different superstitions. It's a whole encyclopedia, and I was thinking for my YouTube, we could start off every day with reading a superstition, or maybe I will blog a superstition every day. I mean, I have a whole bunch of them here, and yeah, so it just basically goes into everything, even chair superstitions, candles. Again, it's it's an encyclopedia, so it goes alphabetically, and it's just a really awesome book. Now, there are many different dictionaries on superstitions, so you don't have to get this exact one, but if you are into folk magic, definitely a thing that you should look into. Superstitions are very important in folk magic and just really awesome, again, to learn about too, so definitely pick one up. So this is more for my Slavic witches or anyone studying European magic or European gods and goddesses. So this book was a beautiful find, and it's The Goddesses and Gods of Old Europe. So awesome. It's by Maria Gimbutas. I think so. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. But it's The Goddesses and Gods of Old Europe. So it basically dictates Europe from the very beginning and their gods and goddesses from then on. So it goes into basically everything. It's a really, really historical book. So something you would find probably at like a museum or something else. But I just found it very, very, very fascinating. And I've been working my way through this book. And I've been noticing a lot of different similarities between Slavic witchcraft and Old Europe and things like that. So I'm really, really excited to dive further into this book. So again, that's The Goddesses and Gods of Old Europe. If you guys are interested in something like that, I'm sure you could get a copy. I found it in the Half Price bookstore and I was super thrilled. I constantly check out the occult section, the witch section, the myths and folklore section, just in case someone dropped off a Polish fairy tale or Polish folklore type of book, which I happen to find, and I will detail that in another video. But yeah, when I found this book, I was extremely happy because it's so hard to find information about any type of European gods or goddesses or deities or anything like that, especially related to these Slavic versions. So that is my book list. I know, super, super long video, but I just wanted to get all the new books out of the way and then start a new book list every time I acquire more and more books. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you wrote down some books that were interesting to you. Definitely pick up some copies. I know most of the books that I get are pretty obscure because they're, you know, from the Half Price bookstore, and my taste is very, very, very niche. So definitely write down the ones that you want. If you missed one and you want the name of the author or whatever, comment down below and I will be happy to give that to you. Again, check out my Pagan Witches and Aminos blogs on different areas of these books. I usually take a book that I really like and I will do a detailed blog about that book. So follow me on Witches and Pagans Amino. Join the coven and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And definitely check out all of my social media down below. And until next time, have a lovely, lovely, beautiful day, guys. And I will see you.